The min width and max width properties specifies minimum width and maximum width of the element. So you will definitely notice the minimum width and maximum width of the element while resizing the browser. Suppose when you set width or height of the element in percentages, for example 30%, so it will take 30% of the browser width always for your element. What if the browser width has been changed? That means browser has been resized by user. In that case, your element width also will be affected, right? So at that time exactly min width and max width will be useful for you. So when you specify the min width, for example 200 pixels, at any cost, even though the browser is resized too much, your element will be having minimum of 200 pixels width. If the browser width is less than 200 pixels, automatically page scroll bar will be appear, but still your element contains 200 pixels width. This is what we call it as min width. And now coming to max width. Assume the page runs in the large devices having high resolution. In that case, the element will be having the specified maximum width which doesn't exceed the limit of maximum width. For example, you mentioned the maximum width as 500 pixels. So even though when the page runs on the larger resolutions, it will not exceed the limit of 500 pixels width. You can specify the min width and maximum width in the form of pixels, percentages or em. I have already explained the size units in the font size lecture of the course. In the codes project, I would like to update the width of the elements in the form of percentages. Then I want to play with the min width and max width of the elements. So for the season div tags, I am going to specify the width as 33% and height as 300 pixels as it is. Now the elements look like this. And I am going to remove the writing mode as vertical and also add the property called float left in order to display the boxes side by side. So then they appear like this. And because of some margin between the elements, even though we have given the width as 33%, the three elements doesn't appear side by side. Because margin between the elements will occupy some space, right? So I'm going to reduce the width as 30%. Then at least three boxes you can see side by side. But you should notice the elements when you resize the browser. So when you resize the browser, as you can see, the width of each element is very much smaller when you compare to the previous. So in this case, you want to set some minimum width of the element so that the user can see the content comfortably. So I would like to add the property called min width as, for example, 400 pixels. Now the element is minimum having 400 pixels width. We cannot reduce more than that. If you decrease the browser size, automatically browser page scroll bar appears. Still at the same time it is having minimum 400 pixels width. So the 400 pixels is the minimum width, but it is not the maximum width. So when you resize the browser again, the width of the element may be increased beyond the 400 pixels width. Now it is more than 400 pixels width. Suppose you want to set some maximum limit for the particular element, that is called maximum width. In order to set that, we add the property called max width, for example 450 pixels. In that case, maximum limit of width will be 450 pixels. So even though there is a space across the element, the width doesn't increase beyond 450 pixels. So in this case, the element width will be between 400 pixels to 450 pixels depending on the browser size. So this is how do you manage the width of the elements by using min width and max width properties. So this is particularly useful when you set the width of the element in the form of percentages, but you want to control the minimum width and maximum width among different browser sizes and resolutions. This is all about min width and max width properties in CSS3.